Hi, this is Sonia Alanis, and this is the Blended Language Learning course in Taiwan, Issues and Challenges of Instructional Design by Ji Zhen Liu. Technology-enhanced language learning is a field that has influenced human development in various subjects. Technology allows for learning anytime, anywhere. It also serves and shapes teaching and language learning through news on learning activities, English learning platforms, several online testing systems, materials for English learning, free programs and lessons. Many language teachers have been trying to use modern technology to develop users' target language anytime, anywhere. Integrating ICT into language learning and teaching. Linguists have realized these sources can help first, second, and foreign language learners develop their desired skills anytime, anywhere. Language learning and development in computer-assisted language learning and non-CAL contexts fosters dynamic, nonlinear, and open nature of complex systems. Has been an area of interest for many researchers. What is computer-assisted language learning? It basically integrates the learner with his or her background. It incorporates hard technologies, hardware and software, hardware being the machine, software being programs, hyperlinked learning contents, hyperactive learning tasks, activities, with or without peer or instructor support. Levels of the instructional design. Graham identified 4 levels of blended learning for researchers to follow when arranging instructional materials and resources. These 4 levels are institutional level, program levels, course level, and activity level. Blended learning is a term used to describe the way a learner develops new knowledge and skills in both online and face-to-face learning environments. The learner has a choice with which institution and program to attend. The instructor and designer are supposed to take the responsibility to arrange meaningful experiences with suitable materials and resources for the learner. Defining the 4 levels. These 4 levels should be clearly distinguished in order to better plan, develop, manage, implement, and evaluate the effectiveness and efficiency of ICT into language teaching and learning. The institution. The president or top committee must set up and execute a university or school-wide policy to recognize a blended learning or hybrid course approach. The program. Admin or chairperson must set up and execute the program policies to recognize a blended course and increase its chances by offering support. Course. The instructor or designer will prepare and execute a syllabus that will aid the implementation of the blended course approach. Activity. Instructor must prepare and undertake a variety of learning activities that will aid the approach. Successful blended learning factors. According to Thorne, successful blended learning contained the following factors. You needed to identify the need, set up the level of demand, recognize and respect different learning styles, identify goals with current instructors, present a friendly demo, offer support, and set up a self-monitoring process. Through these methods, instructors should be able to integrate technology into human learning. In Taiwan, e-learning is supported by the government, so college and elementary students can have the opportunity to these programs. However, There has to date been a survey showing the use, impact, or effect of this internet-assisted language learning program. Studies in blended language learning. Liu designed an instructional design theory for teaching freshman English in a hybrid course using the designed case type of Reglute and Frick's qualitative FRM. To engage students' language learning, he combined the instruction of skills, listening, speaking, reading, and writing with major language areas, vocabulary, grammar, and culture, into communicative language use in the three modes when designing a model. Later, he refined the unit-based and project-based activities meant to foster language development in blended language learning. Fluency and accuracy of language were the major goals. Studies in blended language learning, 2002 to 2008. After putting the instructional design theory into practice with 2 proficiency levels of freshman English, he collected more reviews and refined his IDT with 2 more classes of proficiency levels in 2004 to 2005. In 2005 through 2006, he identified effective ICT uses with an even more refined IDT and implemented them with 3 freshman classes of 3 proficiency levels: low, medium, and high. These were taught by instructors at another university. Students and instructors were asked to reflect on BLL with self-chosen CMC tools and CAL programs to see which worked best. What are the principles for effective ICT practices in BLL? Effectiveness, efficacy, and appeal were the criteria for evaluation in order to find preferability. In order to analyze his data, he used themes from instructors' perspectives, reasons and suggestions from experts, his own interpretations. In order for the experts' experiences, values, and biases to not affect his study, Liu selected experts very carefully. 3 BLL experts with 6 years of teaching experience in Taiwan. In order to create triangulation, the 3 BLL experts, he collected their feedback, resent his interpretations via email to get the response over his interpretations. Summary of findings. His first class from 2002 to 2003 was in Indiana University, and his work was to create and implement his IDT for the first time. His participants were 5 EFL practitioners and researchers, and the instruments were the model and guidelines in the instructional design theory and questions for expert review. The findings showed guidelines needed to be revised, the IDT needed to be improved to include purpose, preconditions, rationale, features, learning theories applied, criteria for instructional guidelines and situations technology, cross-IDT guidelines, guidelines for unit-based learning, and guidelines for project-based learning. Each guideline should have desired learning outcome, methods, and component methods. His study from 2004 to 2005. This took place in Tsinghua University, Taiwan. This was the second round of expert review with refinement of guidelines and practice of IDT. The participants were 3 senior professors, 2 EFL practitioners, and 2 mid-level classes. The purpose was to refine the IDT and practice the theory. This time he included Blackboard as one of his instruments and a standardized exam to see how the classes differed as far as their performance. The findings were experts suggested guidelines needed to be refined. One professor suggested synthesizing the guidelines. The guidelines needed to be refined. 2 instructors implemented the guidelines in their classes. both of their classes performed better than the other mid-level classes on an exam. His 2005-2006 study took place at the National Cheng Kung University in Taiwan. His work were the 3 practices for 3 proficiency level classes of English. The participants were 3 EFL practitioners and 3 proficiency level classes. Purpose: to refine and identify practices for 3 different proficiency levels. The instruments were guidelines, blackboard, teacher interviews, student questionnaire after practice. The findings showed 3 instructors agreed that guidelines were clear and useful. There was no agreement about the best ICT integration. All classes were satisfied with their English reading ability, but dissatisfied with their listening comprehension. 2 teachers said that the classes were too big and suggested small classes to promote learning. The researcher deleted some methods to make the program more practical. His final study in 2008 took place at the National Cheng Kung University in Taiwan. Here, his work was a framework for ICT practice in BLL reviews. The participants were 3 scholars with 6 years of blended language learning experience. Purpose: to synthesize the principles for 3 different proficiency level classes. His instruments were the 7 principles synthesized for 3 different proficiency classes. The findings were all experts agreed that the 7 principles were helpful. All experts liked the value of the principles. One expert asked if this study had been used internationally. If not, it needed to be implemented to give it validity. The 7 principles for effective integrated information and communication technology. Practice in blended language learning. These 7 principles provide ways to successfully realize blended language learning classes at the 3 levels. The first principle is to infuse systems thinking into language program and course for BLL. All components of the program and course need to be seen as a whole. The second principle: you need to facilitate written communication via asynchronous discussion. The teacher needs to foster meaningful discourse by having discussion boards and forums, not instant message, as that could hinder their writing development. Principle 3: improve oral skills in pairs or groups by means of synchronous interactive tools. You can do this by having 3 to 5 students perform well in role playing using Messenger, as suggested by Lu. Principle 4: promote cultural understanding with guided learning in CAL programs. Guide cultural topics. Use videos from BBC or ABC to develop students' cultural understanding. 5. Use collaborative learning to enhance linguistic and communicative competence. Groups of 3 to 5 again to practice their oral and written communication. 6. Scaffold to develop critical thinking with comparison between native and target language. The teacher should model for students to develop understanding of nature, structure, and cultural concepts of written and oral form. 7. Utilize project-based learning. The students need to engage in team-supported project-based learning to have more opportunities to transfer their acquired knowledge. Conclusions. With emerging ICT, BLL will remain a continuous topic of study. Also, a new study is required in order to realize the specifics of how to do education in long-term studies of soft technologies to better exploit hard technologies. That is it for our case study chapter 8, and the questions will be posted on the forum. Thank you for watching.